Hello and welcome to episode 1009 of the Sleeper and the Bust. It is Friday, February 4th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, and I'm freezing, Justin. Good morning, sir.
I am cold as well.
What are y'all getting over there? I know there's like a nationwide winter, freeze and snow, but what are you getting out west?
It's not as bad. Like I shouldn't
It's
even
cold.
complain. Yeah, it's. I mean,
But you can complain to me. You know you have a friendly ear
yeah.
complaining about the cold once it gets down to like 60.
Yeah, I mean, it gets into like the 30s and probably high 20s at night and stuff like that. Thank God I insulated my office.
Oh man, I remember when it wasn't, and you used to just
Yeah,
freeze your life
because I've been
away.
up to like 2-3 o'clock in the morning most nights. Though this week's been a little bit less because I having more teeth issues, but it's not as cold as the rest of the country. So everybody stay inside, listen to a podcast, stay warm.
Yes, definitely enjoy some pods. Off season is hitting that high gear. I know that I consider the unofficial fantasy opening day to be the day after the Super Bowl, or really the minute after the Super Bowl. Colette and I always are tweeting out, happy baseball season the second that hits triple zeros on the Super Bowl. And, we're inching closer to it. Now, the Super Bowl isn't until February 13th this year. So that's a little bit further back. And I think we've kind of already started. Like January was one of the biggest Januaries the fantasy community has ever seen in terms of volume of content, excitement, people talking. And that's with the league themselves constantly shooting themselves in the face every day with these terrible labor negotiations. So you balance those two things. Imagine if we were about to have a season that was on time and things were going well labor-wise with this amazing offseason. How great would that be? But at least the fantasy community is holding the baseball candle brightly right now. And I'm really enjoying it, man. It's been a fun offseason. We got some more fun players to talk about today. I wanted to look at some guys. I call them leapers, guys who could take the leap. And what is the leap? It's a bit of a generic thing or a general thing. It's hard to say exactly what a leap is. You're going to know it when I talk about these players. You're going to understand, like, okay, they've reached certain levels, but they haven't hit that next level. Well, a couple guys here were waiting to hit that first level, namely a second-year player that we'll get into. But we want to talk through these guys, and I want to ask you if you think they can take the leap. Can they jump well beyond their draft price, well beyond what they did in recent years? So let's tour the diamond and do that. It's all hitters, but I do have 3 outfielders, so we have 8 total players. Let's start with catching. And Justin, what's one of my favorite things at catcher? A non-catching catcher, baby.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Mike Zunino.
I hate you. I hate you so much. You're not going to be Mike Zunino. As a non-catching catcher, they're a great fantasy asset. That's part of why Dalton Varsho is so well loved. But you know who doesn't get enough love as a non-catching catcher is Luis Torrens out there in Seattle. Now, he is a horrendous catcher. Varsho's not very good either. He's pretty bad, but he makes Torrens makes Varsho like a gold glover. He is so bad. He played 59 games at DH last year. Torrens did 35 at catcher, 5 at first, 2 at third. By the way, I wonder if he might find a little bit more third base time this year. I know Toro's going to be the primary guy, but I wonder with Seager out and not having that every single day lock on third, I wonder if he'll maybe a few more sprinkles there for Torrens, or if he just stays DH first base.
I think he could. I think it's more he stays DH in first base. But
me too. But it'd be fun if, lighter eligibility leagues, if you got in 5 to 10 games, we could see.
If you're playing Yahoo like in season, there's a chance with the 5 eligibility. Or I remember I played in my original home league was like a 1 game eligibility. Like you played that 1 game in season and you got to move there. I can't remember who it was, but like there was some I think it was like Troy Gloss or something like that.
Played short.
He played like an inning a catcher or something like that as an emergency catcher.
God.
1 year, and
that'd
I got
be amazing.
and it was like in May or something like that.
So he had the whole rest of the year.
It was like the whole rest of the year I got to use him as catcher.
See, I like 1 eligibility, especially in deep leagues like onlys, because even though it can create some fluky things, and some people are like, "Oh, that's stupid." I'm like, those leagues are so tough, and there's like nobody on the wire in onlys that I really like the 1 game eligibility in onlys specifically, or deep mixers. But again, for this year, even if Torrens earns eligibility, you're not moving him. He has catcher eligibility. He has the 1 that you need and you leave him there. But for next year, I don't think he's going to get 20 games at catcher. So I would want the third base eligibility for 2023. But he quietly hit 15 homers last year with a 243 average. Now, it was a 299 OBP, so sub 300 there. You really hate that. But the power was impressive. 47 ribbies and 39 runs in his 378 plate appearances. Projections like him to be pretty similar. The counting numbers are down a bit, but that's relative to the fact that he's got about 50 to 60 fewer plate appearances in these projections. But the overall numbers are pretty similar, except for a 239 batting average from the Bat X, 4 points down from there. So they think not too much difference. But the 26-year-old, I think, can jump a level personally. That power there, if he can find, it's not even that he has a wild strikeout rate. Luis Torrens has a 26% strikeout rate last year, 25% for his career. That's manageable. I feel like he could push 20 plus, 20 plus homers. That'd be another 5 on what he did last year. If he's playing a regular DH and just turning loose as a hitter, I don't know. I think a 20-60 season is here. That's 20 homers, 60 ribbies. Batting average, I'm still going to lean toward the lower end. I don't know that he's going to make a huge leap there, but I think Torrens should be going way higher than he is. He is the 30th catcher since January 1st. He was 18th last year with those numbers that I gave you. I think he's at least going to repeat, if not take a leap. So how do you feel about Luis Torrens? And is he somebody that you feel can make a leap? And again, leap just means from where they're at. So even though he is a lower tier catcher, we would just be having him leap into a mid-tier catcher. So where do you have Torrens ranked, and what's your outlook for him this year?
I have him ranked 24th right now, so a few spots below where you're at, but above where ADP has him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are some questions about his paths to playing time. That being said, the guys who are blocking, because right now, like Roster Resource has him in a short side platoon.
Okay.
And so, I mean, that you look at that and you go, ooh, backup catcher, short side platoon, other places, maybe gets to 300 plus plate appearances. But then you have to look at the rest of the roster in Seattle and you go, what do we expect Kyle Lewis to be, right? I mean,
with that health, man,
he's never been able to really stay healthy. Mitch Haniger has had a plethora of injury issues in the past.
Some fluky ones, though, so hopefully he can stay healthy and not tear his sack again.
Yeah. So we were talking about on a live stream the other day, and somebody and I think Dave McDonald was all like, it's not like that's going to happen again. Like it can't happen again.
I hope not.
Someone in the chat's like, well, technically it could happen again.
I mean,
he's got one more.
That's the unfortunate thing is that it could, but let's freaking hope it doesn't for Haniger's sake. But yeah, with Torrens, so you're saying, DH with Kyle Lewis, can he hold it? Ty France can move around. He's going to be an everyday player, I believe, but he can move first, second, third. Because I'm not a huge Adam Frazier guy, so France could play some second there. Frazier sits on the bench or bounces around to the outfield himself. They have a lot of movability, flexibility, I should say. So I think Torrens will get his PT.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue for Torrens is his shoddy defense in other places. Like, are they going to trust him? Like, how much do they value his defense, or is he going to be stuck at first base and DH? Because if he's stuck at first base and DH, he needs either someone to get injured where Ty France can move to second, or he needs Kyle Lewis to get hurt. Now, those aren't huge obstacles. So
unfortunately,
yeah. I mean, I think I would project probably 350 plate appearances for him.
Okay.
Kind of double down
last year. So close.
Double down kind of what he did last year, which was 15 home runs and, a palatable average at catcher. And then hope for more. Like there's obvious upside for Torrens to really break out. If for some reason he was able to find like 450, 500 plate appearances.
Yeah, I think we're in lockstep there with Torrens. We're going to take last year and be fine with it if that's all we get as our C2. But Luis Torrens has that raw power that can really send him into a pretty strong catcher season because, the thresholds aren't really too high. Notice neither of us are particularly concerned about the 243 average or even the sub 300 OBP. Obviously, I wouldn't want that in an OBP league, but I don't think that that's a complete impediment to his playing time because of the power that he delivers, I think they might still be looking to play him. So Luis Torrens, 26, one-time prospect, catching not his thing unless he's made some big improvements in the offseason that we're unaware of, but can definitely hit. Let's talk first base. This is a guy I've really grown keen of, fond of, keen to, I don't know. But Nathaniel Lowe. Remember when he came over from Tampa Bay, there was a lot of excitement. Finally, Nate Lowe has been freed. And I feel like it panned out. And yet I'm not seeing the hype that was there when we were so excited about getting him freed. He had 18 homers, 8 steals, 264, 357, 415 line for Lowe in Texas. He was the 17th first baseman last year. Interesting little power speed combo. He's got a bit of a neutral platoon, so he doesn't really get crushed by lefties over his career. And he's been a bit better on the road. That's not terribly surprising because Texas is not an amazing environment to hit. But I got to be honest, I've been starting to warm up to Lowe a bit. Actually, something happened with my first base ranks here on our page because the ones on my sheet here do not match. I have him 20th on here, but he was down to 24th or 25th even on my on our ranks here on Patreon. By the way, those are all updated with mine, and we have a column for who's higher between us. You have the ADP column on your side. So you have Lowe at 28, though. Nathaniel Lowe at 28. I think that's too low.
Yeah, I need to come up on him a little bit. I did a little bit of a deeper dive onto Lowe for my first base ADP market report column that came out on Tuesday. And one of the things I came away impressed was, one of the main issues with Lowe was that his swing was so long, he really had a hard time catching up to high heat. And he made, some small changes that in summer that resulted in over 90% contact rate in the zone, which is huge for a guy like that.
Yeah, I'd say.
And so, I think these are pretty legitimate changes too. That being said, he puts the ball on the ground way too much and continued to do that after August when he made those changes. So I have a hard time, even though he can smack the ball, and he's making a ton of contact, which is amazing. He's going to have a hard time getting, home runs out of that, especially in that park if he's going to put the ball on the ground in the manner that he does. So I think
a boon to the batting average, though. You trade off a little bit of the pop for some batting average for Lowe.
I think in some ways he could be like, and people are going to hate this name, but kind of like a prime Eric Hosmer.
Right, I hate it.
Yeah, who
I hate it.
Made a lot of contact early on in his career, stole bases, hit just enough home runs. So I don't know that he's ever going to be like a 30 homer guy with the way his
That's fair with the ground ball rate.
But I think he could hit 20 homers and steal 5 to 10 bases and put up a pretty decent average. And
that plays. I mean, that plays big time.
And so I think he's a really interesting guy. Definitely needs to come up from 29. And now that I've done that deep dive, let's do it live. Let's figure it out.
We'll do it live.
So, all right, I had him 28. So let's see. Definitely jumping over Brendan Belt, Dahlbeck, Sano.
You got your boy Belt pretty low too.
Injuries, man. I just don't trust him to stay healthy.
I know.
I'm gonna jump him to 20.
Hey, that's where I got him.
And steal the sortability from you.
No problem.
So that way I can. Let's see.
You got it.
And do that. And so now he's going to be 20th. He's going to be right in front of Ty France and right below Trey Mancini. So I'm definitely in on Lowe now. after, and I love the name change, right? He went from Nate to Nathaniel.
Nathaniel.
Adding a little formality to it.
I like it.
I feel like, now I can see him like in a tux on game days type thing. So,
sorry, go ahead. You go.
I was gonna say that Rangers lineup, it's not good by any stretch of the imagination yet, but it's getting better, and it's
been substantially improved.
It's going to continue to get better. The park is, still, a pitcher's haven, which is still taking some getting used to for me. But I think the RBIs, especially because he's probably going to be hitting behind Simeon and Seager, should be there. Probably not a ton of runs, but I think he could be he could hold his own in power, be an asset in stolen bases. And kind of maybe even be an asset in batting average, which is great because I don't know if you saw this tweet. I think it's John Anderson, JON like PGH on Twitter. He tweeted out like how many stolen bases you can get per round from using ATC projections in a 12-teamer, using NFBC ADP.
Okay.
And I added to it, and I showed how many players you could get sorted by ADP that stole 15 or more bases. There's ATC has a total of 33 players this year who are projected to steal 15 or more bases, which and most of them are
team.
Yeah, and most of them are going in the first 4 or 5 rounds. Like
exactly.
you don't get your speed early, or you need to supplement your speed. Guys who chip in 8 stolen bases like Low did last year are going to be really important.
That's why I love guys like that, because of those extra chip ins at a non-speed position for Nathaniel Lowe, and I believe in it. By the way, tidbit I found this week, and I've been banging this drum on watch out for Globe Life, be careful for Semien and Seager and whomever else you might like there. Caveat: careful for Semien, maybe not so much for Seager and Lowe. You good? Went down the wrong pipe there. I got you covered.
Yes.
Just making sure you're all right. No, you're fine. I'm just making sure you're all right. Globe Life, new Globe Life, not as difficult on lefties. Actually, quite neutral. Flat out 100 park factor, sitting 15th in the league. It dips way down against righties. The home run park factor for lefties is a 102. So that's actually a little bit above average. So maybe don't ding Seager as hard, or even our boy Nathaniel Lowe, who we're discussing right here. But I do think the righties still do need to take a hit, including Semien, 93 home run park factor there for righties. Now, they only have 1 year, right? Generally, park factors go off of a 3-year rolling. They don't have enough for that yet, right? I guess they have 2 years, but I can't do the 3-year if there's only 2 years of data, because they played there in 2020, right? Yeah, that's where all the playoffs were. I'm an idiot. So anyway,
I will say though that Seager isn't necessarily a pull guy when he hits home runs. Like he
is
goes
that
up.
only for pull? I mean, yeah, I guess that's fair that a lot of it is pull related. Listen, I don't know where I'm at on. I don't know that I'm necessarily drafting Seager regardless, based on the way shortstop is and him going to a much worse team. But I wanted to point out, because I've been so hard on pointing out Globe Life's shortcomings since I discovered that split, I wanted to at least point that out there. So
I know
we're not going as hard on lefties.
I know we're on a tangent, so I'm going to keep it going.
Yes.
Simeon's one of those guys, though, like, I've been seeing him drop quite a bit in drafts. And, like, at some point he becomes a bargain just because he is, like, the poster boy for being an accumulator. Like, at some point, like obviously he's not going to... We didn't think he'd hit 40 home runs again if he stayed in Toronto, right? Like,
correct.
And so
definitely break it down from that.
He starts heading into, like, 4th, 5th round area in a 15-teamer. Like, at some point we got to be like, hey, he's missed like a total of like 10 games over the last like 4 seasons combined. Like that's it. Like, he plays every day and just racks up plate appearances.
Check out this range for Semien since the new year: 14 min, 59 max.
Yeah.
Obviously not touching that late first round min. 59 for a max pick on Marcus Semien puts him right there in between George Springer and Alberto Mondesi. Now, obviously, Mondesi is definitely a team build type of player based on whatever you're doing. So I don't think he's a great one-to-one. What about versus his former teammate, George Springer? If he's down there at that pick, who do you like at pick 59? You're on the clock. No team needs is specific. Like, you don't necessarily have an outfielder. Who are you going, Semien or Springer?
I think I'm going Semien.
I think I am too.
You like plate appearances alone. Like I feel like I can at
Between
least, I can at least say that Semien, has a likelihood that he could get 100 to 200 plus plate appearances more than Springer. Yeah, Springer may be in a better situation in terms of leading off or hitting high up for the Jays, but at some point those plate appearances really matter. So
Absolutely.
I haven't drafted Semien, I don't think, anywhere this year. Maybe I did in FPADs, I can't remember, but
he hasn't gotten that far down for me yet. If I get into a draft where he falls down there,
I'm pretty sure I took him in a draft before he signed. So I don't think I've drafted him anywhere since he signed, but I'm not opposed to it. I think people, especially as the relief pitching market starts to push up, and the starting pitching market will push up as we get into March. It always does.
And it's a guy like Semien who will be the beneficiary from that by falling down.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of first baseman fall, Semien fall, guys like Seager, who are good hitters but don't steal bases. Like, we're going to see a lot of those guys fall, and I think people, smart people, will jump on that a little bit.
So might you say that the hate's gone too far?
I might say that. You
might say that.
Shout out 06010.
Shout out 06010. We love that phrase among many of their isms from over the years. But yeah, that's a good call out, because I've been tough on Semien because of that park and team context change. But if the market starts to move down with me, it becomes a different equation. Right now, my biggest beef is paying full price for where he's at. But if you start to put his ADP with a 5 at the beginning, 50 something, I'm in.
Yeah, and I mean, I do have a little bias, I want to say that up front. I've been a Semien guy for a long time.
Absolutely.
So, but,
this has been a pro Semien show for years.
If he can hit 28 home runs in Oakland, I don't think he's going to have a problem hitting 20 plus, 25 plus in Texas. So
that is a fair call out as well. It's not like he's never been in a difficult park, and I think maybe
and now he's going to be on a team that steals more than any other team he's ever been a part of. So.
And I agree with that. I know some people have pushed back on that being a cover for like the power production losses of like maybe adding, upwards of 10 more steals and stealing 25. I think that's possible. I really do. I agree with you there too. So that's another good call out. So yeah, good Marcus Semien tangent there. If we keep pushing him down in the market, I become a lot more interested. Quickly, since I got it, let me just see what were your ranks here. You have him at second base, you have Semien 4th. I have him 5th, so we're very close there. And at short, you have him 7th. I have him 6th. That's interesting that we are one apart on each one, where each of us is higher at one category. So we're pretty close on Marcus Semien. Keep that price dropping, folks. Oh, by the way, have you had any updates or any updated thinking on Max Muncie? Because I decided to go ahead and rank him.
No. I mean, I have him ranked. You ranked him 12th. Wow. I have him like super, super low.
Yeah, I saw that 36th.
I have not had any updated thoughts on Max Muncie. I still feel the same, which is until we see him playing, and really see him playing for at least a week, right? Like, I'm not gonna, like, as soon as like I see him, he's in a spring training game, he played 2 innings, everything's fine. Until we see him, really play, for like a week straight, and like, I'm not gonna raise him any, and I'm not gonna draft him at all. Like, I mean, I was in a draft recently, the Battle of the Podcast draft, and like, it's a 15-team draft, and I want to say he was still around in like round 30 or something like that, and I still said no. Like, he will not be on any of my teams. I think there is a reasonable chance he doesn't play this year. And I think the fact
I don't think that's out of pocket to say. I understand
yeah.
that was the concern I had,
Mhm.
but I didn't have him ranked anywhere. I decided to rank him more, a bit more optimistically than I thought I might, but that's where I'm at. I kind of put him in the similar spot for all three of his positions. That's Max Muncie that we're talking about there.
Yeah. And I think if you're playing in like a
With
10
two
team
positions.
league, or you're playing in even a 12 team league, like with a lot of either reserve spots or IL spots, I think you can make the argument it's worth the gamble, right?
No
Because
doubt.
I mean, when he plays, and plays a full season, you can pretty much book, 250 average, 30 home runs,
Exactly.
multi-positional eligible on one of the best teams in baseball. Um, that being said, if there's, the majority of leagues I play in are NFPC, you don't have an IL, shallower rosters. If you're playing in any sort of situation like that, it's just not worth the gamble.
Exactly.
So especially if you're playing in a draft and hold, I think some people be like, "Oh, in a draft and hold, I got 50 other spots." You cannot,
You don't want a
you
dead
can't
spot.
drop those guys. Like
Yeah.
those guys who get injured, like you can't drop them off your roster when they finally declare them out for the season. And so, I would not risk it with Max Muncy. He's another one of these guys who's been one of my guys. I really love Max Muncy as a player, but I'm not going to take the gamble. I'll let someone else get that kind of payday if it does end up working out. But ultimately, I'm not very confident it will.
Yeah, I'm definitely nervous. I don't know that I'm necessarily drafting him either, but I did rank him. And again, Patreon ranks are updated, available for everybody. Just any Patreon supporters. Got somebody that said, hey, is there a Patreon? What's the difference with that and Fangraphs membership? I understand it's kind of a double thing. They aren't the same. This is just Patreon's kind of its own one-off to support the podcast. I am putting stuff on there, but it's not like I'm like saving all the good stuff for Patreon. I just want to have some extra stuff up there for y'all that are supporting, because I really appreciate that. Obviously, we're very grateful that people are finding an additional financial way to give us some love. So that's why I'm putting up little articles, and they're quick hitters. We're talking like 500 words and lower type of deal. We do the recording for those that want to watch it. Just little things to kind of make it better. If you want to support the site at large, Fangraphs membership is still the way. Totally understand people that don't want to do the Patreon, but it's a little extra thing to also support the pod. Just a little clarity there. All right, moving on. Our next guy here, we're going over to second base. I know we both like this guy, but we really haven't talked too much about him. It's been since mid-November that we spoke about Luis Urias. So I wanted to bring him up on Milwaukee as somebody who could be a leaper for sure. He could definitely make that leap. We saw a big jump forward last year, right? That was we started getting into these semantic terms of sleeper and breakout and leap and all that. I think we can define it pretty clearly. He broke out last year, right? He set a new level. He had been meandering a little bit, nothing to show for anything of Luis Urias's first three samples of 53, 249, and 120 plate appearances. That's why we call those small samples that are hard to glean much from, because coming into last year, if I told you he was going to be a 111 WRC plus with 23 homers, 75 ribbies, might have been difficult for people to comprehend. Like, well, how? Because he's been so crappy as a major leaguer. It's like, well, there's not a lot to take from that. He needs a full season to see what's what. And he had a nice year. I think there's more for the 25-year-old. I've been banging that Urias drum since the AFL when I saw him. My comp was a little bit of a Jose Ramirez type vibe to him. Not a 1-to-1. It was really just his size and the way he got to his power was similar. He's not a switch hitter. He doesn't run as much. So the comp is not perfect. And I probably shouldn't even keep throwing it out there because I don't want it to seem like it's a 1-to-1. He doesn't run like that really at all. Contributes a few 5 stolen bases last year. But that power, I think, can keep rising. And where I really think Urias could make a leap this year is with the batting average, where maybe the power stays pretty similar in that, he had a 196 ISO, somewhere in the 190 to 210 ISO range, but maybe upwards of 15 to 20 points of average in a leap season, because he had a 280 BABIP last year, hitting that 249 mark. 20% strikeout rate for Luis Urias. I think there's more here. He's 25 years old. I'm bought in. Where do you stand on Urias? Can he make a leap this year?
Yeah, when you first started talking about Urias, I was like, yeah, I don't think there's a leap. I don't, But then you mentioned that you could take a leap in batting average, and that I agree with. Like that,
That's the big spot for me.
he makes very good zone contact. Right around league average or above. We know that that was his calling card in the minor leagues. Now, I think he sacrificed a little bit of that contact to raise the ball. Because, I mean, what he did last year was, change his launch angle by over 10 degrees. And that's where the power
That's
came
big.
from. And it dipped in the middle of the season, but then he climbed it back up, kind of gradually throughout the season. So I think that there is a reasonable chance that the 20 home runs is here to stay.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've got to love the triple eligibility for Urias, and then he's playing in a good park. That lineup is pretty darn good. Yeah, and I think there is some flukiness to that BABIP. I think he makes good enough contact, and maybe another year working at that launch angle, actually get a little more comfortable and make even more contact. Yeah, I think there's lots of reasons to think that. I don't think there's more power coming. I don't think there's more speed coming. I think that is kind of who he is. I think he's like a 20 homer, 5 stolen base guy. But if it could come with like a 280 batting average,
That'd be huge.
yeah, that could be huge. And I mean, this is a guy that was largely projected, from scouts and prospect guys to be, a batting, title contender.
You know who else was, right?
You, right?
No,
Yeah, I
Jose
don't know.
Ramirez.
Oh,
The guy I
yeah.
comped him to. And
Mhm.
that's where those comps came, was like, again, the size comparison, the way they look, they're smaller guys,
Mhm.
both in the 5'9" range, squat type, fire hydrant types. And when Ramirez came up, and he had that speed component, that's, like I said, where the comp really breaks down. But he was a batting average type dude in the minors. And remember, Lindor had the much, 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 much higher ceiling. Ramirez was not seen to be a superstar potential, just like a kind of strong contributor type. But then he started to find that power and hit that next level and became a beast. Like you said, Arias probably not hitting another power level, at least
Mhm.
not this year. I could see it down the road, but for this year, give me the similar power, but with a batting average spike into the 270 plus range. And I think that would deliver a nice leap in overall value, because he's going to be part. I think that lineup's going to improve this year. It underwhelmed last year. We think Milwaukee, they're a good team. They had a good lineup. They actually had like half of a lineup because with
Yeah.
Yelich flopping, they were in and out on other positions like first base until Tellez finally solidified there.
Lorenzo Kane was injured most of the
Kane wasn't
year.
playing. Yeah. So they were up and down with the lineup. Adames came over and killed it. Urias broke out. But other than that, it was mixing and matching, and different guys were hot at different moments. But the overall lineup, they were carried by pitching far and away. They were 20th in OPS, 27th in batting average, 18th in homers, to give you an idea. But I think they'll be better this year. I like the Renfroe pickup we talked about, Tellez for a full year. And I think Urias can receive some dividends from that in the form of his runs and ribbies too. He had 75 ribbies, 77 runs. If he pushes those into the high 80s with a batting average spike, that's the leap from Urias, not necessarily power.
I
Right.
wonder too
Yeah, go
if
ahead.
Urias could find his way hitting higher up in the lineup. Like he
Exactly. That's a
kind
good
of
call too.
hits 5th and 6th, and you almost want a guy like that as a table setter hitting second. Like I know they've got Adames, but like why Adames can't hit 4th?
Or just bump everyone down. Adames third, Yelich fourth, Renfroe fifth.
I think they want to keep the lefty righty.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
So, but I think I mean, Urias walked at a double digit rate last year. If he continues to improve that contact, like I think you could see,
Wow.
him kind of move into that 2-hole, Adames move into the 4-hole, and then you've got a pretty sweet lineup with Wong, Urias, Yelich, and then
Adames
Adames, and then Renfroe
and
hitting 5th,
Tellez.
and
And
Tellez.
dude, I like Narvaez too. Then all of a sudden, Narvaez and Kane at 7-8, there aren't big expectations on them, but they can both hit. And then all of a sudden, you get the deep quality Milwaukee lineup that we've seen. Back when Yelich was cooking, and they were a balanced team instead of just a pitching heavy. By the way, I didn't say our ranking. We actually have a dead even for Arias at 22nd at second base, both of us. That's at shortstop. Pardon me. At second base, we have Arias. I have him 20th. You have him
16.
So I am lower there.
Mm-hmm.
And then at third base, I have him 15th and you have him 18th. What I need to do, and I need to do this soon, is consistency check for multi-positional guys to make sure I don't have a guy ranked ahead of somebody at one position and then behind him at another position where they both qualify. I have to be careful of that because sometimes that happens. Yeah. And I wonder if that's happening at second with Arias, that I have him all the way down at 20th. That's surprising to me.
Probably.
Because I have him lower than I do at short.
Do you have him?
Or no, I don't. But I do have him way low at second.
Yeah. I mean, maybe behind Rogers. I don't know. Like, do you have Rogers ranked higher on your shortstop?
Of course I do. You know I do.
Ugh, so gross. Why would you explain this?
Colorado.
To me.
Colorado. I already explained it.
No, it does, but it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't, because we're probably both projecting to hit the same amount of home runs.
For Arias and Rogers?
Yeah, we're talking Brendan Rodgers and Luis Urias, right? Yeah. So we probably project him to hit around 20 home runs, both, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Rodgers is already hitting 2 where you want Urias to be, and he's in the best park in the history of the world. He hit 284 last year.
But they'll probably get the same amount of runs and RBIs because.
So you're making my case for me. Continue.
Because Milwaukee's a better lineup. Rodgers gets scores.
Yeah.
So,
but then Rodgers already has the batting average that we're hoping Urias can take.
But
so I'm already there.
Urias steals bases and has triple eligibility.
Steals bases, he has 5, and it's double eligibility versus triple.
5 is better than 0.
But it's also not a guarantee. When you're that low, you know that 5 can disappear. He's
going to get a handful. He's going to get 5.
He probably will, but he can get 2 or 3 as
triple
well.
Eligibility to you is, especially at third base, which is such
triple eligibility versus dual eligibility. I'm not that moved by it. You just hate Brendan Rodgers.
Keeping my eye on you. I do.
This one's going to burn you.
I've raised him up. It's not going to burn me. It's absolutely not going to burn me.
It is.
It's not. Brendan Rodgers
26th at shortstop.
Brendan Rodgers is just Cesar Hernandez hitting in Coors.
Okay.
And I
you say that as a bad thing.
It is.
You're just greatly underestimating the value of Coors on when somebody's a quality hitter. It can't make a nobody into a good player, but Brendan Rodgers isn't a nobody.
And then you got to build an injury risk.
That's kind of like. I don't think I need
his entire career.
No, I don't think I need to build it in because I think it's already priced in there at pick 160.
I feel like you're missing something here.
I feel like you are.
Should we get your glasses checked?
You're ridiculous.
All right. Well, that's enough Brendan Rodgers talk.
Yeah. We figure
he's clearly not on the potential breakouts list.
He should be, though. He could take a leap for sure. All right. Next up. A Mason favorite from years past.
One troll guy to another.
Yeah, it was, I remember when he had that little spike and everyone went crazy with Dansby Swanson, making him like a top 10 shortstop. And that's when you really had your heel turn on Swanson because the price was just through the roof. You're like, that's insane. And you were right, by the way, because he was not, he was not ready to take that leap. He's been somebody that we've been thinking could maybe take a leap for a few years in the fantasy community. We've been seeing glimpses. He had the breakout where the injury kind of derailed him. And then he had a slow start and finished strong. And then 2020 was pretty good for the 60 games, but it's only 60 games. And then last year, I think it was another slow start that he had to rebound from. But he ended up with 27 homers, 88 ribbies, 78 runs, 9 steals, and a 248 average. Can Dansby Swanson take a leap from this, or did we just see what's ostensibly going to be his best season? He's going to be 28. Let me tell you where he finished last year before you get into your answers here. He was the 13th shortstop.
How insane is that?
We have him ranked. Isn't that nuts? I have him 19. You have him 20. So we're in lockstep with where we have him ranked. And then the market has Dansby.
They're low on him too.
At 17th.
Okay.
So everyone's down relative to where he finished last year. because he was 13th, and us and the market says, nah, shortstop's too deep. We want to go lower. Is there more here? Can he put it all together? Can he pluck the batting average from 2020 with the power from last year, with the extrapolated speed from 2019, which he had 10 steals in 127 games, and he does that for 160 games, and it's 13, 14 steals. Can he put it all together? Or again, did we just see his best year in 2021? What do you think about Dansby Swanson?
I think we probably have seen his best year in 2021. That being said, I don't know that that's a bad thing. Like you said, he finishes the 13th shortstop off the board.
He's got wiggle room.
And the one thing that could be kind of a plus for him is, depending on if they bring back Freddie Freeman or not, he could find himself batting at the top of the lineup or near the top of the lineup again, which I think could potentially give him an opportunity to kind of bump up those runs scored.
Do you think? Sorry to interrupt. Just I want to hit on that point. Does he not hit first if Freeman comes back in your estimation?
No, I don't think he does if Acuna's back and Freeman's back.
Well, Acuna, I think, is the bigger key. So I think it would be temporary either way. But if Freeman's back, doesn't Freeman just go third, Riley fifth, or Riley fourth, Ozuna fifth, and then Swanson, Albie still go 1-2?
Yeah. So I'm saying if Freeman
does, Acuna.
Yeah, I think the combination of the two is, and it depends. Like, I mean, I think this goes kind of to the Acuna argument that some people in the industry are having because he's going first overall. Like, do the Braves want Acuna running? And if they don't want him running, do they put him like third or fourth in order to kind of clog up the base paths in front of him?
Just put him in that more power. Yeah, we've seen it for years, right? These power speed guys come up and they become, or they start as like speed power guys where their speed's the carrying tool, and then they start to wither that speed away as they move down the lineup into the more run producing spots.
So, yeah, I mean, do they say, hey, listen, we want you to take it easy coming back, especially because it seems like he's coming back so quickly. So I think there are a lot of question marks about the Braves lineup.
Absolutely.
How many other players are they going to add to it? Where are they going to fit in? And that leaves a lot of question marks for Dansby Swanson. The most important stat for him last year is one I don't necessarily usually mention with him, and that is the amount of games he played. He played 160 games last season. This is a guy who's had trouble staying on the field for the majority of his major league career. And one of the reasons why I kind of faded him coming into last year in 2020. He showed some health, which is great. I don't know how comfortable I am with him continuing to keep that up. I mean, he is a very good defensive player that throws his body around.
Yeah, that's part of why too. Yeah, good quality shortstop, just laying it all out there.
I mean, he previously had never played in, his career high had been 144 games. In 2019 he played 127. I feel more confident projecting him for like 130 to 140. And so I think there are going to be some steps back. That being said, he's being priced for those steps back. So I think he is a fair price. If you miss out on some of the other, premier shortstops, I think he's a really good gamble this year. I hate to say it, but I kind of like Dansby Swanson.
Well, in fairness, it was always price related. You were never like anti-Dansby Swanson.
It was price related, and it was also, for those who were kind of dynasty guys, it was the fact that this pool was going to be thick, and we could see this coming for years. And people were getting really excited because Dansby Swanson was a first overall pick. He was dealt in a massive trade. And I'm like, I don't know that he's ever a top 12 shortstop. And that's not taking anything away from him.
No.
It's just there's so many good players at the shortstop position. And I've been right. Like, even in his best season last year, he was 13th.
He was 13th. And it was a fantasy versus real life standpoint too, because he would rank high on prospect lists because he was a number one overall, because he plays a true shortstop. Like, he's going to be in the league for, like, barring catastrophic injuries.
He's going to be an all-star type caliber player for 10
another 7 years. He's been in the league for 6. He's in, I think, another 6 or 7 easily, if not more, based on the way he plays short, and he'll eventually move down the defensive spectrum. So I agree with you there. But he is intriguing, and I agree he's a good miss out guy. Like if you did miss out on some of your picks, if someone jumps Willie Adames ahead of you, and you were thinking like I could wait because he's behind Swanson in ADP, and then you get in a league with Justin or I, and we take Adames out from under you or Arias, then you can go to Swanson. I also love Swanson as an MI. If my MI is Dan Swanson, I'm like, hell yeah, because I'll take last year with a little, regression, but I'm also getting some upside that things could all coalesce into, last year plus some batting average and 6 more steals or 5 more, So I like it. I like Swanson. I do think that there is leap potential here, but I'll take what he did last year and be fine with it.
Absolutely.
All right, we got some outfilders here. Let's start with Harrison Bader. It's been a. Oh yes.
We skipping third
base?
Oh
yeah, we did. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Sorry. Don't go for my troll guy and then skip over my guy.
Yeah. How dare you? You can't. By the way, you can't have everybody. Okay.
I will have everybody.
You will not have everybody. I'm ranked higher. I have Brian Hayes ranked higher than you. I just wrote him up. You don't get everybody.
You have him ranked higher than me. Whoa.
I sure do, by 3 spots. Brian Hayes
is
our third baseman. Hey, it's 9 versus 12. It's up there. The 3 spots matters when you start to get up that high.
No, I wasn't mocking you.
Pardon me.
I was saying, I was surprised you have Brian Hayes in your top 10 at third base.
I'm big on Cabrisi. Part of it is
he's no longer my guy. I have handed the mantle over to you.
Thank you.
He is your guy.
Brian Hayes. He was in my breakouts volume 1 here. The thing I think people are really sleeping on is that speed. And I know you can go look at his sprint speed. By the way, we got to stop just using sprint speed as a counter when somebody believes in somebody's steals. Jeff Zimmerman did the work. Sprint speed is not the best correlation to look at. It's not unimportant, but it's not a prereq to stealing bases. The real dirty truth of it is if there were no injury concerns, a major swath of the baseball community could steal 10 to 13 bases just on talent, like knowledge of stealing alone, like smart base running. There are tons of guys out there that you wouldn't think could steal 10 to 12 bases that can do it just because stealing is not just about speed. And so Brian Hayes is not a burner, but he's always graded well on speed components because he's a smart base runner too. He's 10 for 11 in the majors so far, 20 steals per 600 plate appearances in the minors. And I know he hit the ball on the ground a lot last year and he had a bad year in 96 games. The wrist and hand injuries are why, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think he's a ground ball guy who's going to struggle for power. I think that was the wrist and the hand impacting his hitting. 25 years old. The only thing I hate is that the market didn't do their normal overreaction to a rookie not popping off because they kept his price pretty high. He's only dropped, Justin, like a round off of last year's price down to 139 ADP. That's my only bummer on Brian Hayes, but I don't think that's cost prohibitive. I'm willing to pay it. And I think Brian Hayes has a chance to take the leap this year and possibly be like a 280, 2020 type guy on a, high end breakout. But I think he can be a Brian Reynolds type. And we worry about the runs and ribbies on a team like that, understandably, because at its core, Pittsburgh obviously is a bad team. But speaking of Brian Reynolds, he went 90-90 last year. The year before that, Starling Marte had good runs and ribbies. There's always a guy or two on that team that can go high. And I think Brian Hayes can be that guy along with Brian Reynolds this year that's pushing 80-plus runs and ribbies with the chance to be 90-something there. So I love Brian Hayes, 25 years old. I think the breakout's coming this year, and I'm willing to buy up for it as third baseman 11 in the market. Like I said, I got him 9th. You have him that 11th. Or no, you have him 12th. So you're right there with the market. Again, you like him too. What do you think of Brian Hayes? Did I sell you? How did my case look?
I think your case looks fine, and I mean, I'm with you in certain regards. I have them a little bit lower, and it kind of depends on how you value a kind of a tier of injury-prone guys, right? Anthony Rendon, Chris Bryant, Justin Turner, Bregman. Like those are kind of the guys I have kind of right above Hayes.
And then LeMahieu should be in there too after last year's injuries.
Yeah, LeMahieu's in that grouping as well. My main issue with Hayes is not the lineup. I think people keep pointing to the lineup. Oh, but like you said, Reynolds was fine. You know, went 90-90, and I think that lineup's gonna get better unless they trade Reynolds, which I mean could happen if a team like the Yankees or something or a center field needy team goes, a center field needy team goes like, hey, you know, we're gonna give you a mint for a guy who still I think has 4 years of control in Reynolds, then yeah, of course that would hurt, but I think this Pittsburgh lineup's going to get better. You know, they're going to be adding O'Neal Cruz.
Yeah, we've already sang the praises of our boy O'Neal Cruz. They got Cole Tucker love.
Yeah, Tsugo's back. Cole Tucker. Yep. There's some people who are really interested in Greg Allen and Anthony Alford.
Hyped Alford with us on the 1000th.
And I was talking with Dave McDonald. He's kind of excited a little bit about Greg Allen potentially getting some run there. I think this is not going to be the worst offense in baseball. It may be one of the worst pitching staffs in baseball.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. The Park PNC cannot save this staff. Let's just be clear about that. But yeah,
absolutely.
So I love Cabrisi, and I got a little pushback on him in my breakouts column, and that's fine. By the way, I love the interaction, but I do think that a lot of the pushback was too focused on just what he did in 2021. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that an 88 WRC. I'm not going to sugarcoat last year, but the hand and the wrist injuries are why I'm not, wiping it away and saying it doesn't count, it doesn't matter, but it explains why he had a 56% ground ball rate and he couldn't get any freaking lift with a 116 ISO.
My only issue with that is he's been kind of a low launch angle guy previously.
I'm not saying he's shooting up to like a 220 ISO, but I'll take a 180. I don't need I'm looking for 20 homers this year.
And I think that is in the cards. I honestly think he could have a similar line to Luis Urias with a lot more speed. So a guy who, hit somewhere between 260 to 280.
Yep. Trade some power for the speed, I would say.
Yeah, low 20s home runs, and I think he could steal 20 bases. So we're talking about a guy. He's only third base eligible, which is fine because third base is kind of scary. I'm talking to myself. I'm moving Hayes up because
because you loved him coming in.
I did. I was one of the big guys on him last year.
Yeah. We both bought in
and got burnt.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Okay, riddle me this. Why is Alec Boehm getting obliterated in the market the way we normally see overreactions to flops? He's down at 287, and Cabrisi avoided it. He's at 139, and they had the same flop.
Well, because it wasn't the same flop. Hayes' flop was injury.
I know.
Bomb's flop was performance.
Wasn't he hurt too? He only played 115. I guess he
got sent down.
He got sent down, but he only played 15 games down there. That's only 130. Where's the other time, Justin? Or was he just benched? I don't know if he got. I don't actually know if he got hurt. I'm asking more than.
I honestly don't remember.
I'm gonna look it up.
I ended up having to drop my shares Bohm.
Are you back in though on Bohm at the discount now?
I think I am. I mean, I think the discount's worth it.
COVID. COVID took him out for a few days. No, it's not that. So he had to just been benched for those games. So okay, you're right. So that is a key difference, by the way, performance versus
and
injury.
I think that's the main difference.
However, is that worth 150 ADP points?
No. Obviously, it's not. And I mean, it's super small sample on Alec Boehm, but he did come up and finish the year in the majors.
We like that.
So they gave him another chance. His minor league numbers were fine. Not much power, but hit for average. Bohm's an interesting guy.
He's dirt cheap, dude.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much to try to be back in on him if you like Alec Boehm.
Yeah, I wish he still had the first page eligibility too, but I'll take it at third. I think especially in a draft and hold, I'll take the gamble because I think they're going to give him a chance for everyday at bats. This is a guy we were super stoked coming in on last year that just fell flat on his face like young players do.
Yep.
What do you always love to say? prospect growth isn't linear.
Isn't linear, and not my own phrase, by the way. Got that from Ron Chandler, but
okay.
I love that phrase because it took so long for me to realize that too, right? I always felt like you had to do the stair step, and if they didn't, I was floored. My brain couldn't handle. Oh, he went down and then back up.
Yeah,
it can be an EKG. It can be the nice little escalation. It can be down, shoot to the moon. There's so many different ways. You got to look at the core skills and try to make your best assessments. And then you got to try to factor in the health. I'm looking back at my last year's third base ranks. And by the way, they're embarrassing because of where I had Austin Riley. Holy smokes. And I know he was like a major breakout, but I didn't realize, because I was an Austin Riley guy dating back to when we saw him at Fall League 80 billion years ago, I would have thought I was in on him. But his major league samples were pretty poor coming into last year. And so I had him down at 24th. I was like, if you don't mind taking a poor batting average, it seems like 30 homers is a lock. That's actually not a bad write-up, to be honest. I actually feel pretty good about the write-up. I don't love the 24th ranking.
Yeah.
Especially when I had Bohm and Hayes 17 and 18.
I am not going to look up where
it'll just
it can't be
feelings.
Good. Yeah,
it'll just hurt your feelings. But yeah, sorry to tangent there on Bohm, but I do like him on a buyback just because he's so dirt cheap now. But as far as Hayes, I think he can take a leap. Power and speed. Don't be afraid of Pittsburgh there. They can facilitate a couple good players, and I think it'll be Reynolds and Hayes. We like Sutsugo. I know you got me on the Tucker train a little bit. I actually took him in a league. I picked like 506. So that's a little hat tip to you. Hopefully he's your Sed Mullins this year and does some things.
Yeah, I like how this is the leap episode, and all we're doing is leaping from tangent to tangent.
That's every episode, though. Let's be real. All right, let's leap into the outfield here and talk Harrison Bader. We last spoke about him quite a while ago on a pod when we were talking outfielder debates on December 8th, and you had him down at 97th, and I said, you got to move him up from there. You did. It was a live move up. It's been a good while since then, nearly 2 months, about four days away from a 2-month period. Where's Bader now currently? Before I get into some numbers, let me get your ranking before we dive into everything.
I believe I have him 64th is where I have him. I'm double checking. 65th.
65th, yeah, because I'm 22 spots higher than you. I'm at 43.
I've definitely moved him up. I moved him up a good 20, 30 spots from where I initially had him. I think I can make the argument to potentially move him up a little bit more. I don't know that I'm going to, though.
Let's see where you come out after we dive in here. So Harrison Bader last year ended up as the 67th outfielder, so in line with where you had him, and that was thanks to a 16 homer, 9 steal season with a 267 average, 50 ribbies, and 45 runs. He only played 103 games. There was health there. 401 plate appearances. Not bad though to be the 67th outfielder in 401 plate appearances. The big key for me: cut his strikeout rate down to 21%, far and away his career best. This was a dude who was tracking in the high 20s, low 30s for his career. He was a 29% guy coming into 2021. So we saw a jump there. Now, Justin, we did not see a corresponding dip in swinging strike rate. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that the strikeout rate improvements are fraudulent. In the case of Bader, I think it means that his previous strikeout rates were tracking a bit high for the 10, 11% swinging strike rate that he had. The general shorthand, now this is for pitchers. I don't know if it correlates the same for hitters, but you take a swinging strike rate and it's between 2 to 2.5x as a general strikeout estimator for pitchers. If it's different for hitters, someone please let me know. But operating as though it is similar, then he probably should have been more in the 20 to 25 range instead of this 29, 30% range that Bader was living at. So I tend to buy some of these strikeout gains. The power speed was already there. We saw 16 and 9 in 401 plate appearances. He's an everyday player if healthy because of his elite center field defense. I think he's even a candidate to move up in the batting order, perhaps. It's not a guarantee. I don't think he's going to start the season leading off. I think Edman's going to get another shot. But if Edman doesn't get the OBP up, I think he and Bader could flip. I think there's some big Bader breakout potential. Not quite to the level of O'Neill. He's not as skilled as him. But I think he's got a lot of skills where he could be a, 25-20 breakout type. 25 homers, 20 steals breakout type for Harrison Bader. What do you think?
I guess I can see that path. I don't really buy it.
But you're not enamored with him.
No. So I mean, part of the strikeout drop came from the overall approach. So what did Harrison Bader do last year differently?
You tell me.
He got aggressive. He started
Good.
swinging 5% more of the time. Inside of the zone, he swung like about 6% more, which actually led to a drop in his called strike rate. So part of that.
So there was some passivity that was leading to some of that high strikeout rate, which kind of goes back to my point about the swing strike rate not really correlating with such a high K rate for Bader.
Exactly. And so, I think part of it is he got more aggressive. He went, I'm tired of watching these third strike calls, hit the corner or hit the inside of the zone because I'm being too passive. And we saw that play out in his walk rate, right? His walk rate drops from around 11% to around 6%, which if he continues those gains, I think he can kind of keep some of those gains. It's not going to help his on base percentage though.
True.
Which means I don't know that he's going to necessarily move himself up the lineup. And he, because in spite of the fact that the average went up, the on base percentage actually went down.
Yeah, he almost shaved the walk rate in half, like you said, for Bader. However, counter to that, as he gets more comfortable and more dangerous, maybe the patience comes back in the form of necessary patience, where they start pitching him tighter. I think part of the thing that was driving his walk rate too was batting eighth a good bit in front of the pitcher, so he was getting pitched, very cautiously, not getting anything to hit. As he started to move up the lineup a little bit, 7th, 6th, things changed a little bit. So, it's not that his OBP was sky high, 324. Here's the thing, though. It was still a good bit better than Edmonds' 308, and that's what I'm saying there. It's not necessarily that Bader's going to raise his OBP through the roof, but if Edmond doesn't get on track, I think he and Bader could still flip spots there, and Bader atop that lineup would be huge. So I don't know, man. I'm a sucker for power speed. I mean, who isn't? I'm not unique in liking power speed guys, but I love those outfielders that can really deliver. I've pushed Lane Thomas pretty high in my rankings. Harrison Bader, Robbie Grossman, they all kind of live in a little cluster there in my mid 40s. And I think Bader could be a stud this year. I think he could kind of almost be the Tyler O'Neill. Again, not quite to the same heights. That's why I'm reluctant to invoke that name. I don't think he's going to go 34-15. But I think fewer homers, but more steals could be in the cards for Bader, pun intended, because that's the team he plays for. The Cards, get it?
Yeah, I think that if he can maintain a full-time role, and I don't know that there's a reason why he shouldn't, I think he can definitely do that.
Yeah, his defense is too great in center, I think, to get him platooned.
Yeah, well, and I mean, he was kind of a platoon guy in the past, right? So,
well, that's when he couldn't hit.
But he was actually a reverse platoon split guy last year.
Yeah, he had a big spike against righties. He had never been over 696 for an OPS against righties. Last year, 789 for Bader.
Yeah, man, this lineup is so right-handed.
It's almost all right-handed except for two switchies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'd be interested to see, are they going to bring someone else in? I don't think Bader would be at risk, but you would think that they might bring in a lefty.
Problem is where? Like DH?
I don't know.
Shortstop?
I think DH, especially if the talk about Paul DeYoung is like that he's going to be kind of back to his old self after working with this new hitting coach. I think it was Jason that was talking about that. On a recent pod, and he sent me a video about it. It was really cool.
Nice. Maybe they should have gotten Seager.
Yeah,
maybe he'd have been the right fit for them.
Yeah,
now obviously it doesn't do him any good to say that now. I know.
I'm trying to think of like who they could bring in, because Nelson Cruz is a righty.
Yeah, and Conforto's an outfielder, and outfield is locked. I guess Conforto could DH though.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of DH. They need a lefty DH, is what.
Then maybe Conforto's the play because he's a buy low too, and they don't always go out for big dogs. Sometimes they splurge, But I think maybe that's the play is to find somebody there. Freeman, they're not going to get, obviously. And anybody else who I don't even know who else is out there as a lefty besides Freeman and Schwarber. Maybe Schwarber.
Schwarber would be an interesting fit. I mean, definitely could, you want him DHing more than likely considering how good those other outfielders are defensively.
Exactly.
But I think Schwarber's like a kind of a perfect fit there.
I agree. Schwarber, Conforto, or they go cheap and just get Jock Peterson to platoon with somebody.
Oh, there you go.
I think
that is a Cardinals devil magic kind of move, right?
Yes,
there.
It is. And he hits 30 somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Just
start stealing. Like with those steals we thought we were going to get when he was a rookie. Like, not only does he, the Cardinal Devil Magic hit 30 home runs, he also steals 17 bases and BABIPs his way to like a 275 batting average.
That would be the Cardinals Devil Magic working overtime, dude. By the way, I don't know if you want to follow suit here, but my outfielder rankings do include the UT eligible guys. And the reason I did that is because the vast majority of them are essentially outfielders at different leagues. Ohtani, Reyes, Cruz, Gavin Sheets, JJ Bleday. Those are the UT only guys at the NFBC. I just included them in my outfielders. You don't have to. I noted it.
That's a really good idea. I might actually do that.
I just thought it was because we do the 2020 game.
I don't want to do like a UT only rank.
It's not worth it this year. Yeah, last year there was like 15 guys.
Yeah,
8 of whom were studs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, JD and Alvarez and Stanton, they all got outfield eligibility. And then, like I said, I just put the other guys in there. So if you want to add them, they're in there, and let me know, and I'll put the little notification that I have under my name under yours as well for includes DH eligible guys. All right, so that's Bader. Can I get you to move him at all? You keeping him at 67 or 65? I think that's a little light, but let's talk about somebody here real quick.
I think I might
why is
move
Josh
him.
Rojas ahead of him? Do you think Josh Rojas is better than Bader? Putting aside the triple eligibility, because I know we love eligibility, but is that
I'm going to keep Bader there for now.
Okay.
But I'm going to also rework, I think, my outfield ranks this weekend.
Okay.
Because, there's some guys, like probably Rojas needs to come down. I think I prefer Bader over Canha and maybe over Blackman.
Yeah, because I think he's going to run more than both those guys. That was a big key difference for me with them. And I like both of them, and I have them. I have Blackman 56. And
where did you say you have Bader?
I got Bader quite a bit higher. I got him at 43. I'm not expecting to move him up there.
Whoa!
But I got those power speed guys up there, man. I think that they're game changers.
Yeah.
I see you moved Lane Thomas up a nice bit. He's up at 56. I like that.
Did. Yeah, I did move Lane Thomas up quite a bit. Going to be leading off in Washington in front of, Juan Soto. And, I think he's going to.
Not only does he fit geographically for the next Cedric Mullins, because he's right there where Ced Mullins was, but so much of what you liked about Ced fits Lane Thomas. Like it's kind of an easy next Ced Mullins. Not that he's going to go 30-30, but to get hyped on him, you were looking for a guy who was leading off with power speed on a crummy team.
Yep.
Bing, bang, bong. He hit all 3 of those when he came over from the Cards. So I'm a big Lane Thomas guy. I really think he could pop off. So, all right. And again, live rankings, and you've put out several runs on the website. I've only put out one. I'm going to put out another one on Fangraphs, but our live sheet is always updated. You can do a $1 Patreon. Like anyone who's on the Patreon can get the rankings sheet. So just if you sign up for that, you'll find the link, and those are always being updated. I know both of us are in those pretty regularly. All right, let's move on to another guy that years ago you weren't so keen on him. I don't know how you felt since he moved to Boston. I know when he was a Dodger, there were some concerns about Alex Verdugo. Maybe even some things that lingered a little bit off the field in terms of sort of the company.
It was mainly off the field issues.
Yeah, there were some concerns about perhaps get caught up with the wrong crowd. It can affect your on the field. Maybe moving away from LA helped him there. I don't know, but he's been really good with Boston as a Red Sox, not a Red Sox. I don't care. I'm not saying a Red Sox. That sounds so stupid. He's hit 294, 355, 440 with 19 homers and 10 steals in 825 plate appearances. That, of course, combines 20 and 21. Last year, he went 13-6 with a 289 average. So kind of bland there with the counting categories, but that batting average is so clutch for Verdugo. And then, of course, don't sleep on the fact that he scored 88 runs, drove in 63, ended up, even with just the, 13-6 for homers and steals, that was still enough to get 32nd among outfielders because the average and runs were so strong. Can he take a leap, though? Can we see either more power, more speed, or a full season of 300 batting average? There's a few different avenues here. It doesn't necessarily have to be some big power growth, but he's flashed some pop. He had a 181 ISO with 12 homers back in 2019. That was in 377 plate appearances. This year it was a 138 ISO for those 13 homers in 604 plate appearances. So what's your outlook on a 26-year-old Verdugo? Let's see. I've got him ranked 42nd, so actually one spot ahead of Bader, and that's actually 2 spots lower than you. You've actually passed me on Verdugo. You have him 40th. How do you feel about a potential leap here? Or is he who he is, and we should just be happy with that? Or is there more for the 26-year-old outfielder Alex Verdugo?
Who I don't know that there is like a big leap, but maybe some little leaps.
Okay. But those could all add up into a big leap.
Exactly. So, I mean, I feel like I can project him to hit 290, 300.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the 289 we saw last year was kind of like the floor almost for him in terms of batting.
It seems crazy to say, but
it does.
It's not the actual floor. Of course, things can bottom out, but like he is a batting average asset. I really, really like Verdugo. You know who he is? He feels like a premium David Peralta.
Yeah, I mean, I comped him earlier on in his career to kind of like a prime Melky Cabrera.
Yes, I remember that, and I think that's actually better than my Peralta comp.
So, and I mean, for those of you who don't remember, like Melky Cabrera was like a 17 homer guy, and like
Melky took a leap.
8 or 9. Yeah, he did take a leap.
Some help.
Yeah, with a little bit of pharmaceutical help, but prior to that, he was a really good batting average guy because he made a lot of contact. 17, 18 home runs, 7, 8, 9 stolen bases. And I think that's kind of who Verdugo is. I think I pretty much nailed that one in terms of, kind of early career comps. I agree. 91% zone contact percentage last year. So he makes a ton of in-zone contact. I don't know that there is a huge power gain coming because like he just doesn't lift the ball enough. I mean, he had like a 28% fly ball percentage last season, something right around there. He does have times where he smacks the ball a little bit. So
he muscles up, but he's not Verdugo's not a consistent power guy.
I think he kind of is one of those guys, like, if he wanted to hit for more power and sacrifice the batting average, he probably could. Like, he probably could be a mid-20s homer guy, but it would come at the cost of his contact, and he'd be hitting, like, 260, and then he's kind of boring, right? If he's hitting 260 with 22 home runs as opposed to 290 with 17 home runs, I think...
I prefer the beastly batting average personally.
Yeah, me too. So, he's one of those guys that I had kind of ranked a little bit lower, and the more and more I thought about how much that batting average helps, the more and more I kind of got on board. I haven't gotten him anywhere this year, but he's definitely not someone I'm shying away from.
Me neither. I will take Alex Verdugo. Let me get you a market price on him, by the way. If I didn't make it clear, by the way, Brian Hayes was 11th among third basemen in the market. Bader was 62nd. Thank you. 62nd among outfielders. So you're closer to the market on Bader than I am. For sure, I'm way ahead of the market. And then for Verdugo, he is 42nd, which matches mine, but we're basically
we're right there,
even there. So we're in line with the market. I think he's such a boon to get, especially if you fell a little short on average. It happens plenty of times to folks. You don't plan to fall that far behind, and then all of a sudden you take a few power studs and you're like, crap, my average is tough. There's a little life raft in the form of Alex Verdugo, and he's not just empty batting average. Going to throw in a little bit of pop, a little bit of speed, but a crap ton of runs. You know what I think you could really do is hit 310 with 100 runs, and then even if he just did 13 and 6 again, that'd be a top 25 outfielder.
I'm actually thinking about moving him up quite a bit.
I think I am too. I am too, dude.
I'm looking at my ranks, and like I said, I do have to kind of rework my outfield ranks. But I'm thinking about
a weekend project.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a weekend project. But I'm thinking about moving up into like the 30 area. So yeah, I'm thinking. The only problem is like, what's the reason he doesn't play all the time? Does he just get nicked up?
Left-handed.
Is left? Is that what it is?
But I don't know that. Maybe he got.
He's still getting 600 plate appearances.
Yeah,
in
that's the thing. Like he's a good defender. Like I don't even think he's really a platoon risk. Now he didn't get hurt last year. It might have just been, just spotting guys.
Yeah.
Oh, he had a few knick-knack injuries. A little hamstring that was a couple days here. A little back that was a couple days here, and then the hamstring flared back up for a day here, and then a little back that was 2 days. So it was a little knick-knacks of just sitting out for a couple days, but he played 146 games, 604 plate appearances. Alex Verdugo's a beast. I'm moving him up. I'm right there with you. I'm bouncing him up. You know who I'm gonna move him by? This guy used to be similar to him, but then his power took off. I'm gonna move him by Jesse Winker.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the guys I was looking at moving. I have Winker at 29. And I'm
still going to keep Winker higher because his power's there and he hits for the average, but I'm going to put Verdugo just behind him personally. I'm
going to put him 2 spots below him. I'm going to move him up to, it'll be 31. That'll put him just behind Miles Straw and Jesse Winker and in front of Mitch Haniger and Lourdes Gurriel. I think we're very similar again still. With those guys, you don't have a hard out, right? We talked about that earlier. No. I want to hit another tangent here real quick. Okay, let's tangent it up. Let's leap. Let's leap into another tangent. I think we got to talk a little bit about Trent Grisham, just as a general thing, because I'm starting to see some market pushback. Well, let me not overstate that. I got a couple comments about it. It's not market pushback, but I think there is some uncertainty about him in certain pockets for people of like, should we be betting on Trent Grisham like kind of fully? Like I had him up where you had him. In my recent update, I moved him down a good bit based off of some study of like, he hasn't proven as much. I still like the talent, but there's platoon risk. I actually ended up moving him down healthily, 13 spots down to 38. You've got him up there at 25. I do. And that's kind of betting on the come a little bit from Trent Grisham. It was a disjointed season last year. There's no two ways around it. San Diego started hot and faded. I believe that's kind of the trajectory of Grisham's season too, because 894 OPS in April, 902 in May, 877 in June, and then 526, 776, 611. I could have just done first half, second half, 849 versus 630, but I wanted to put 9,000 numbers in everyone's head while they're trying to pay attention to this. But anyway, Trent Grisham fell off in the second half. Injuries have been a problem. A 25th ranking for somebody in outfield whose peak right now is 15 homers, 13 steals, and then a 242 average. I'm okay betting on the come with guys, but is that who you want to stake your claim on? Is Trent Grisham? You're like, what do you see from him that gets him to 25th based on what we've seen so far in his career? Can you sell me on him is basically what I'm looking for. I'm not necessarily anti. Like I said, I was up right where you were, but then I moved him down due to some concerns about the fact that we haven't seen it. Can you sell me that it's coming? Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on where he's batting in that lineup, honestly. The lineup is so good. And he did bat first a lot. Wait, and you think the lineup's good? I've been seeing some. This is stuff I have been seeing on Twitter about how it's bad, how it dies off after Machado. Grisham, Tatis, Cronenworth, Machado.
And then the second half is Hosmer, Myers, Profar, Austin Nola, and Nomar Mazara.
Well,
Now,
I don't know that they're done, but
they're not. And Vlad tweeted it out, and he was like, "What's this lineup?" And I was like, "If the lockout wasn't going, I think we'd already see another move or two."
Yeah.
But are you sure it's as robust as you think? Because even if you add one guy,
but that's what I mean. All he needs is that top half hidden in front or hidden behind.
Oh, for Grisham's point,
yeah,
sure.
Grisham.
I was just addressing
in general.
overall.
It's not as strong as we thought it was going to be coming in the last year. I mean, I still think that Myers is going to be a Myers type guy.
Myers is a solid number 6. Yeah, let's be honest.
You know, I hope that Kim is going to take a step forward. Like he's one of these leaper guys that I'm hoping to bet on.
Maybe we can do a late round leap, like guys that are like 300 or later.
We should,
because I love Kim. Yeah, I don't think Mazara plays for them. But anyway, sorry to derail about the lineup. Grisham, power speed. I love it. We've been talking about these power speed.
I think
guys.
he can be a 20-25 guy. Leading off, in front of all those monsters that we were just talking about, and which means 100 plus runs. Yes, is it betting on projection? Absolutely. It's absolutely betting on projection. And maybe 25 is too high. Maybe he deserves to be in kind of that Verdugo tier as opposed to being up higher. The problem is once you get past like outfielder number 20 to 25, there's a huge drop off. Like the difference between and I'll just reference my ranks in general. Okay. The difference between really 19, like I think 19 for me at Tyler O'Neill is the end of kind of the elite tiers of outfield. Then you have like kind of an injury tier of Byron Buxton, Springer, Stanton, with Brian Reynolds and Tommy Edman.
The questions become a lot more prominent once you hit that point that you're talking about.
Yeah, I feel super uncomfortable after my 19th outfielder.
I think that's fair. I
think even those guys in that top 19, some have some real serious question marks. Like, right, is Tyler O'Neill, can he repeat what he did last year? Eloy Jimenez coming off of injuries. Judge coming off of injuries. JD Martinez is, super older,
but I don't really have questions about him.
I don't either. Castellanos, like what happens?
Where he's going.
Where's his park? Like, Mike Trout injuries, Yordan Alvarez, he was healthy last year, but I mean, arthritic knees. Like, almost everybody in the outfield, like from top to bottom, has concern of some sort. Like,
I say, let's meet in the middle on Grisham. You bring him down a scotch, I move him up, and we meet in the late 20s.
I'm gonna hold him right there for right now.
Okay.
I may move him past Edman, but I really want to rework that whole thing because like I love Christian Yelich, but like, what is Christian Yelich? Like the report we got,
superstar, sexy man. Wait, what?
The report we got recently was that he was technically healthy all year last year.
Yeah,
which means. Is he just reverted back to who he was in Miami prior to the breakout? With massive ground balls and not running as much as he used to, and Ketel Marte, like I want him to be good and stay healthy. I don't trust it. Dalton Varsho is a catcher, so who knows what happens there.
True.
Jesse Winker, like. I love what we saw last year. Huge breakout, a guy that I've not been in on the past. That
it's all about health with him,
But can he stay healthy? Is he going to get platooned at times? Miles Straw, like, yes, lots of speed. He should play every day in Cleveland, but he also is a little kid holding a bat up there sometimes. So like, do pitchers end up exposing him? Mitch Haniger injuries. Austin Meadows, like there's. All these guys are like huge question marks. So it's like, I think, and this is a hard part about doing ranks, right? Especially in these positions that are so large, not necessarily from like a talent standpoint, but just in general, there's a lot of outfielders to rank.
Yeah.
There's huge tiers, and like,
globs, baby.
Yeah, huge globs. we see this in starting pitching. We've talked about it in starting pitcher for a long time. I think we're seeing this now in shortstop too, because
Totally
that
agree.
is such a huge, thick position. At some point, like the difference between ranking Trent Grisham at 24 and ranking I'm looking for someone, ranking Ian Happ or Austin Meadows 35, 36, or even going farther than that and talking about like Michael Brantley versus Jared Kalenic and like at 47, 48. Like these aren't huge gaps. They seem huge because the numbers change
Yeah,
a lot.
hey,
But
that's what we always talk about with these clubs, and that's
yeah,
why you're stressing that exact point that I try to stress with the pitching. Just because a 40-point, 50-point ranking split feels colossal, could you not make a case that my 78 Michael A. Taylor is not that far off from 27 Akil Badu, right?
yeah.
Like, are they so different? Well, I'm betting on the guy who's 23 on the come
I
up
mean,
on my favorite team
just
versus
talking about two guys we've had on this episode, and Trent Grisham and Bader. Like, I don't know that there is a huge difference between those. And I
exactly.
have Bader in the 60s and Trent Grisham in the 20s.
Yes.
And so I think, maybe we need to,
What you mean by difference, by the way, sorry to interrupt, is by core talent. But we make
yeah.
the soft factors. You like the lineup better.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to be batting one for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
Grisham, at least to start. Maybe you like his power a little bit more. So we start to use those soft factors to be kind of the delineation.
But ultimately, like, I'll probably end up with Bader on more teams than I will Trent Grisham because he's going later.
Because of the price. Yep.
And so I think this, kind of turns into a discussion about how we're attacking the position as a whole. And I want to try to get one or two of my guys from my top 20, maybe even three of my guys from my top 20. And then I typically wait. Like, I will probably not end up with a ton of the guys who I have ranked 25 through 40 because I'm just going to wait until, somebody falls way past where I have them ranked. And I will grab, around pick 150, 160, 170, maybe another outfielder or two. And that often has turned into Anthony Santander,
I like him.
Austin Meadows, guys like that where I go, no, at this point he has become too much of a value. Now I'm going to get my fourth outfielder, my third outfielder, my fifth outfielder, something
See,
like
that's what I
that.
always
So,
worry about too, is overstacking outfield too early because there's so much appeal there with those guys. But then it comes late, and I'm like, I already have 3 or 4 outfielders, and there's like 8 outfielders I like here late.
mm-hmm.
So you have to be careful spacing it out, and that's why checking out the draft flow. You obviously can't map out your fucking 28th round pick or even really your 16th round pick. But you can get an idea of like where the pockets of value are. And you're talking about that middle cluster of outfield. Maybe you don't need to spend big on the guys that are going so expensive. That's why I'm not going to buy full price on Tyler O'Neill, because I'm going to try to find this year's Tyler O'Neill. So,
yeah. And I mean, this is the difference between like early drafts for us at least. And I think for a lot of people who are drafting in December, January, February, we're doing draft and holds, right? We're doing 50 rounds.
Exactly.
And so you don't want to wait as much on the outfield because you get to a certain point in a 50 round draft and hold. I don't care if it's a 12 teamer or a 15 teamer, and it gets barren quick.
It becomes a complete game of congressman or outfielder.
Exactly.
Like the guys you're taking, I'm like, you took a fake player, dude. Why'd you do that, Justin? You're like, no, he's a real player, dude. He's going to play this year. His name's Stephen Kwan. I swear to God.
Yeah, and then Stephen Kwan's the name that everybody's talking about. Like, I think Alex Chamberlain tweeted out something about like there's 2 types of fantasy baseball players: those who draft Stephen Kwan in every draft, and those who don't. So, and I have not drafted Stephen Kwan yet. But
Kwan put people. Alex Chamberlain put Stephen Kwan on people's radars. He was he was a peripheral prospect, so a lot of people probably learned of him from Alex Chamberlain.
And Dave McDonald, my co-host on Friends Fantasy Benefits,
big Cleveland guy,
and he's big on Kwan this year as well. But as we start getting into the fab drafts, and we're starting to see those start to filter in, they really filter in and begin like after the Super Bowl, like you mentioned, at the top of the show. This is where you're going to want to see, like, hey, do I like a lot of outfielders rounds 25 through 30? Because if I do, then, I'm probably going to skip. And if I don't, I'm probably gonna attack them early, right? And so
Exactly.
I think that is still kind of a question that's a little bit up in the air.
I think that's completely fair. Man, I do love these tangents. We start talking about the whole outfield pool
I'm telling you, it's a
at
tangent
large.
episode. Yeah.
It is very tangent filled. We got one last guy here who I definitely think can take a leap, and I want to talk about him. Now, the one thing about him with regards to like ranks and everything, we have to factor in Ramon Loriano still has suspension time, about a month. So that has to cap his projection just to a degree for sure, because he can only get so much volume. And that's why the projections generally are sitting in the low to mid 500s for his plate appearances, because he's going to miss that time. But I wonder, we saw the breakout in 2019 for sure. 24 homers, 13 steals, 288 average with 67 ribbies and 79 runs for Ramon Loriano. Backslide a bit in the shortened season, and then uneven season this year. Remember, he was dealing with, I believe, shin splints, which had kind of waves of pain for him, where he could steal because he was low pain and everything's good, and then, oh my god, I can't run at all because these shin splints are flaring up. I think it was shin splints for Loriano. It made his stolen bases kind of come in clusters based on when he felt healthy, and then eventually I believe he had a hernia that was core surgery was required, and his season was over. And then of course he got suspended too for the PEDs, and so that confluence of events, boom. I'm not sure he would have played even if he hadn't been suspended because of the health, but this just added to it. He ends up with 14 homers, 12 steals, 246 average, 39 ribbies, and 43 runs in just 88 games of play for Loriano. So factoring in the missed month, can he take a leap? Can he put pieces of 19 or really just kind of get back to 19, but do it for 5 months? That's really what we're asking here with Loriano. Do you see more 19 or more 21 from Ramon Loriano?
This is a really difficult question. And I have him ranked like I see 19.
Okay, where do you have him?
I have him 42nd.
I got him 60. So yeah, we kind of have the Bader thing.
I think we're going to need to meet in the middle. Because, and this was something I heard on the RotoWire podcast. I listened to Scott Jenstead and Jeff Erickson the other day, because they're my favorite.
They're back.
Yeah, they're my favorite duo to listen to.
Same.
Sunday is a must listen, and I haven't been. Listen. Yeah, I haven't been listening to baseball podcasts since like last summer, and I just finished a history podcast. Off tangent already, and they're much more. They're much more
context
down
real
on...
quick. Scott Jenstead, big A's fan, knows them inside and out. Just for the context of what you're about to say, go ahead.
Well, the context is more a matter of they are very. They are not very encouraged by how soon baseball is going to start. They think we're going to miss games in season. And they seem to feel like it's a foregone conclusion that we're probably going to miss games in season. And one of the things I think either Scott or Jeff mentioned is if they miss games in season, that extends Loriano's suspension.
It doesn't count,
right?
As yep.
He doesn't get to like prorate it in the same way that they're prorating pay or whatever for that year. That is like I'm not there yet. One of the things I tweeted out the other day was like, hey, don't forget that they put together the 2020 season in like 2 days,
9 minutes.
Like it if you don't think with an army of lawyers and I got some pushback from some people, including people I'm really good friends with and really smart people in the industry, like Michael Govey told me, it's a false equivalency, and it is in some regards. That being said, like I, as an individual person that is not very bright, wrote my 95-page thesis in 36 hours.
Jesus.
And got an A- on it, right? Did it really well in 36 hours. If you don't think like an army of lawyers can come together in a week and hammer this all out, you're crazy. Like,
well, that's the thing though, too. It's like it's all ready to be done too. Mm-hmm. They're not really as far apart as the
media. The media is making it out to be, because if the media was writing articles like, "Hey, this is going to get done," nobody would be reading them.
Yeah,
they have to portray it as a doomsday kind of thing, and And MLB wants it portrayed as a doomsday thing to try to bring the players to the table.
Yes.
When it's really the other way around. The players are saying, hey, we just want like a raise that keeps up with inflation, and our minor, our young players to actually get paid something.
Not eat bologna and fucking live, 10 to a house.
So, it's they're not as far apart as people are making it out to be.
Correct.
And I think after losing so many games in 2020, the ownership doesn't want that. So that being said, if they were to lose time, if we were to start the season in May, that would really hurt Loriano, right? Because then you've already cutting off 30 games on top of, I think it's 34 games he's suspended for. So now the most he can play.
Oh, still 34? Dang.
I want to say, I could be wrong on that.
It said about a month on the RotoWire blurb. So,
but even if it's 25 or something, let's say,
it still hurts.
That would still be 55 games out of 162. Plus, he's a guy who tends to get nicked up. Out last year aside,
he plays a crazy center.
Yeah, he always gets hurt, and so he's definitely got a drop in my ranks, probably closer to where you're at. But I do see a huge path to, potentially like in a full 162 game season, like a 2020 or even like a 15-30 type of year for a guy like Loriano, especially if he's going to be playing on a team like Oakland that are trading away a lot of their stars. They may just run wild.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if Ramon Loriano is fully healthy, we could see the speed take off. And if he's not dealing with shin splints and things like that, and the core surgery did its job there. I love the talent. It was tough to rank him so low, and I knew I was coming in pretty low on Loriano, but the suspension and the inconsistent play that we've seen made me a little bit cautious on him. But I still really love the player. He's fun to watch.
I am moving him down to 66.
Okay, so the market has him at 60. You moved him to 66. I got him at 60 as well. I'm going to hold tight. Actually, I might move him down a little bit. There's a couple guys here. Like, who do you prefer? Ramon Loriano, take off your Giants glasses for a minute, or AJ Pollock?
AJ Pollock, because
AJ Pollock's a god, by the way.
Yeah, his issue is, again, health. Same issue. But they're going to add the DH. He's not going to have to play the field so much. I think he's going to, be a huge beneficiary of the DH, in the National League. Guys like him, Kyle Schwarber, Nelson Cruz having 15 more teams that'll, he's one of, he's in that huge group, Seth Beer in Arizona. He's one of those huge guys that are going to get a bigger opportunity because of the National League DH, and I am so excited.
Totally agree. I can't wait, and it's guys like that definitely excite me for it. All right, that's it. That was our last guy there. Ramon Loriano capped it off. Luis Torrens, Nathaniel Lowe, Luis Urias, Dansby Swanson, Brian Hayes, Harrison Bader, Alex Verdugo, and Ramon Loriano. 8 guys who could take the leap this year to varying degrees. We had our thoughts on all of them with a bunch of fun tangents. Justin, this is the heart of it, man. This is the best part of the year. This prep season, especially if you put your ear to the ground, you can hear the stampede coming because everyone really turns it on day after the Super Bowl. Like I said, though, this year people have been jumping in earlier, but we are still going to get a big crush once the Super Bowl is over. I know we don't talk a lot of football, but who you got in the Super Bowl? I know we'll talk again before then, but where you come out? The non-football fans can click off now because we're pretty much done.
Yeah, I'm super glad about the pairing.
Me too.
I think it's going to be a really fun Super Bowl. I feel like the Rams are going to win this game, but every time you bet against fucking Burrow, it's he seems to just come out of nowhere. So I'm just hoping it's a really good game. I think could be a really good game. I had tweeted after I think the AFC and NFC championship, that all but 4 of the playoff games were decided by one score.
Best playoff ever.
It's easily
and I know
the best.
We always get caught up in the moment of things and say the now is the best ever. I stand firm. I would need to be proven wrong that there's been a better playoff.
all 4 of those games that were decided by more than one touchdown were in the wild card, which meant every single game after the wild card has been decided by 7 points or less. I just don't know that Cincinnati's line can keep up with Aaron Donald and the other defenders. So I think the Rams win it. My dad was a diehard LA Rams fan, and when they moved out of Los Angeles, he
crushed.
He stopped watching football.
Yep.
Like he just and so I made that kind of comment in the joke. I don't know if you saw it, that I'm sure he is smiling while he's looking up at us.
I didn't see that. That's so funny. That's really funny.
People are like, up. It's like, yeah, no, I don't have any illusions.
I didn't stutter. I didn't stutter.
Yeah, no. So, yeah, I think it'd be cool to see the Bengals win. They've never won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
But I think the Rams win. I think it is more than a touchdown. So I'm gonna say, for those of you betting, I'm gonna say Rams win 27-14. But it's a fun game to watch.
Yeah, and maybe that last touchdown is 20-14, and they make it 27-14 late. So it's exciting all the way through, and then there's that last tack-on touchdown.
I'm going to make it 27-17 because Evan McPherson is amazing.
It is a beast, absolutely. I showed my Rams hat. Actually, this is a St. Louis Rams hat. I bought it when they were terrible because I thought it looked cool, and I still believe that. But I've been bandwagoning them for Stafford, right? I'm a Lions fan. They obviously made no noise this year. So I've been a bandwagon Rams fan all year, just going for them. Thing of it is, I really like this Bengals bandwagon too. And so I've been, and by the way, this is not like saying I called going to the Super Bowl, but when they won that first game, I was like, I think this team can actually go a couple steps. I don't think that they're out of this. And then they go all the way to the Super Bowl. So I like both clubs too. I am going for the Rams though, for Stafford.
Did you see friend in the industry, Tim Heaney,
no,
prior to the start of the playoffs, put a parlay that the Rams and Bengals would make it to the Super Bowl, $20 to win over 1,000. Got to cash that ticket.
Let's go! I love that. Well done, Tim Heaney.
Yeah, Tim Heaney is a fucking boss. Yeah,
I love Tim Heaney. There's Char, by the way, being cute as hell in her little bed there. But yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I just hope it's good. Again, I know not everyone likes football that listens to our pod here, but we have
TGFBI announcements should be coming soon.
Been seeing a bunch of those go out to people. I saw you wanted to do like an all Mats league, but you don't have enough.
Yeah, I could do an all Mike's league. I'm not going to. One year I may decide to do
that's really funny.
And it may just be like all Mats, but like one Steve. Like, just making, one of these years.
Or if you could do all Steves, but then also put Scott Bogman in there, because when Nick called him Steve Bogman. Oh
my God, that would be amazing. I don't think I have enough Steves.
No, probably not enough Steves, but that's awesome. So yeah, I've been seeing people
that would be really a great troll.
Excited about their TGFBI invites. We're going to get those drafts going. So yeah, it's happening, folks. Listen, I know the news is bleak with the lockout, totally. And, Justin and I kind of keep a bit optimistic, hopefully not blindly. I mean, I know we were blindly optimistic about the DH last year. This is a little bit different. It's not that I even have confidence in these idiots. I don't. It's just that I hope that their greed actually plays a role here, and they realize how much money they might lose if they continue this bullshit and they get it done. So I'm hoping we don't miss anything, but I do think they're going to push to miss some spring training to kind of put the screws to them and get their way again from the players. But I just want baseball back, man. But in the meantime, we're drafting, we're having fun, we're ranking, we're writing, you're doing your market reports. We got tons of stuff. You got Friends with Fantasy Benefits pods with Dave. We got some drafts coming up. You've been doing your live drafts. I'll be doing more. So there is still good baseball stuff happening. It's just in the fantasy community right now.
And yeah, with Tout deciding to do it online again this year, I will be live streaming my Tout auction. And at least one of my main events I'll be doing live. I may end up in Vegas.
I will be in Vegas, so my main will not be online.
Yeah, if I end up in Vegas, then I will be doing one of the mains there. So we'll see.
Jen trying to finagle a Vegas invite.
You should. Then they.
That's
then
true. Then they can
Danielle. They can go off
just
together
go
and do their thing at times. And
I guess if Danielle's going, it makes it better because I'm like, you're going to be so bored. I'm going to have zero time. It's not even like I'm trying to be rude. I'm not Mr. like ignore your girlfriend
because Danielle doesn't like to gamble. So like,
it's like I just want to play poker and draft.
Yeah, but I can't go to Vegas without Danielle. She will not allow this because the last 3 times I've gone to Vegas have been without her.
So she just wants. It's not that she doesn't trust you; it's that she wants in on the action.
Yeah, but we like a different kind of action.
Exactly. Like
maybe we could send them. We could send them to Chippendales.
Spa day again. They can do Chippendales. I don't give a shit. Do all
or
that
or whatever. And so I'm just putting it out there in the universe. If you do want to bring Jen to Vegas, that would potentially make it more likely that I go to Vegas.
You could go.
Because then Danielle's got a friend outside of
I see how that works.
The fantasy sports group. So no pressure on you, but all the pressure on you.
Hey, you know what? It's not pressure. I don't mind. I'm not doing anything out there that the only reason that's ever like, no, you can't go is because I would feel bad ignoring the shit out of her. But now that I don't have to worry about that because her and Danielle they were fast friends. They liked each other instantly.
Yeah, they went
in real life.
They went to the spa and hung out, and so
it might be a fit then. We'll be seeing each other in Vegas. I think it might be there. Anyway, have a great weekend. Stay warm. And what do you got coming on Sunday? You got anybody coming up?
I do have someone coming on.
You mentioned the other day, and I forgot. My apologies.
I've forgotten, but I can stall real quick and find it out very quickly. We have Marty Tallman coming on from the Triple A podcast.
Let's go, baby.
Both of you, did you join their Triple Play Invitational?
I'm in. I got in that $50.
Yeah. You and I are both in that with the cool ass Cleats trophy.
That's very sick.
On the line. So that should start on Monday. So Marty is a really good guy. I've had him on Potapalooza before, and he's a really good guy to follow on Twitter. So and then we have a couple SB streamer people coming up the weeks after that. Michael Simeone on the 13th, and Lauren Arbach. And they're going to be promoting the SP Streamer Guide this year. And then I just booked Matt Goodwin, who's a newer guy. I don't know if you remember meeting him in FPAS. Really, really nice guy. Was just on the Dugout Study Hall. It's a Pitcher List podcast that he does with Alexander Chase.
Love it.
And he's starting a brand new podcast with Jared Perkins that kind of focuses on baseball and mental health. So,
okay, that's awesome.
Those are the upcoming guests for Sunday for the next few weeks.
Excellent. So check out those Sunday episodes. We'll still have the PitchCon one coming. If you've been wondering about the misnumbered, where's 1007? Release the episode. I don't have it yet. I'm gonna ping Nick, and I'll get that episode. That might come out on like a Saturday or early next week on Monday. But look for that in your feed. That'll be coming up if you didn't get to listen to the Fireside Live. But Justin, great talking with me. Another good week in the books, and I'll talk to you later.
Take it easy.